Hey everyone, my name's Amanda and I'm the Fun Size Reader, and today I want to talk to you about Destroy the Day by Brigid Kemmerer. We made it to book 3 of the Defy the Night series. This has been a long time coming. We've been waiting for this book for a very long time. It was longer than the 1 year that she had between her first and second book. And I know she's writing a ton of things, so it makes sense, but we've been waiting. So of course, because we read book 2 together, I wanted to make sure we read book 3 together, and I'm very excited to talk to you all about it today. Because it is a book 3, I'm not really going to give an involved synopsis just in case anyone stumbles upon this and it ruins book 1 or 2 for them. We know that this book continues to follow Tessa, Weston Lark, Porrick, Harriston, and the entire cast of characters on their journey through treachery and rebellion to save the kingdom of Kandala. Star rating. I gave this book 4 stars. 4 stars. And I feel really good about that star rating for this book. I did think it was a very good ending to the entire story. I still think Defy the Night was my favorite. Book 1 was my favorite, which doesn't happen often. I'm not usually a book 1 is my favorite person, but in this series, book 1 was definitely my favorite. But I did think that this book came full circle. It kind of tied everything up. It touched on everything, and I did enjoy it. Spice rating is a 0 with an asterisk, okay? It was not explicit, but it was like towing the line a little bit. I would definitely call this an upper YA series, especially towards the end. And by upper YA, I mean like you are 17 and above. It's heavily implied in this book specifically, not as much the last or the first, but it's not explicit. So it's a 0 with an asterisk. Okay, so for my spoiler-free review, I thought this was a great end to the series. I did think that there were places that were a little long and drawn out, and I was a tad bored. I'm not going to say where, because again, I don't want to spoil it, but that is mainly why I gave it a 4. The way I described it to one of my friends is the parts that I really liked. And the parts that I didn't like were mainly just because I was a little bored. And because of that boredom, it took me a little bit to read. And I actually read this book weirdly in all 3 mediums. I started reading it physical and I got not that far into it. And then Crescent City came out and then I couldn't read it. And then I got the library copy on my Kindle. So I was reading the ebook and then I just was not getting through that fast enough. And I got the audio and then I kicked that sucker up to 2 times speed and I got through it. But anyways, as a whole, I would definitely recommend this series. I personally liked it a lot better than the Cursebreaker series. And I know that that is not, I've heard people love that series. So I know that might not be the most popular opinion, but I personally liked Defy the Night way better than the Cursebreaker series, which was good, but not my favorite. Okay, so now it's time for book club discussions. There will be spoilers past this point. I'm going to talk about specific things that I thought about the characters, the pacing, all the things. So when I say I was bored, I was kind of bored up to the first 40%. And y'all know why. You know it's because I hate the separation trope. I hate it. It's my least favorite trope. I think the separation trope beats miscommunication for me. Okay. I can sometimes accept miscommunication. I hate separation. And so the whole beginning of this book, we knew they were going to be separated, but man, they were separated for a very, very long time. And so because of that, I was kind of a lot less involved in the things that they were doing. Like they were progressing, but they were progressing very slowly. I did end up liking the characters that Tessa and Rocco met along the way, but I felt like it took so long to get there that I was just like, come on, like move a little bit. One of my friends told me like get to 50% and it picks up from there. And I did, and it picked up from there. So that's mainly why I had to drop it to a 4, was just because I didn't think it deserved the full 5. And to be honest with you, sometimes Brigid's books do that for me. There are some times where she does a lot of, I don't want to say tedious detail, but there's a lot of like every day and new characters coming in and conversations and things that sometimes I just find a little bit lackluster. That's just me personally. There are some people who love that and eat it up and ate up every bit of this book. You know who you are. You know I'm talking to you. You're going to laugh. But just for me, like, it was just a little too slow. I really liked Olive, and I really liked her connection in the end. That was not something I was expecting. I did not expect her to also be a princess and be, I kept saying Ryan, and I said Ryan in the last video about the second book, but I now listen to the audio and I know it's Rianne. I'm still going to say Ryan because that's the way I am. I really liked that Olive was Ryan's sister, and she was like technically could have taken the throne, and her involvement in the end. And I love that she ended up with Rocco. I think that was so sweet. That made me so happy. Although I will say, based on some of the like cues and things that Brigid had dropped in about Rocco and his time as King's guard in the, King's personal guard, I did almost think that he was with Harriston. And that was one of the reasons why he was trying so hard to get back to Kandala. And I would have accepted that. However, I did really like the way that it turned out, because if you watched my last video, thought that Quint was a traitor and it was going to devastate me. I'm so glad he wasn't. And I'm so glad there was an explanation for all of the things that he was writing down all the time. It came full circle. And it made me really, really happy to see that Harriston got his love story, and that it was Quint, and that they were just happy finally, because like there was so much negativity and terrible things that happened in Harriston's life and to Harriston, and just to give him that ending and give him that happiness, it made me very happy. And it also made me really happy that Quint wasn't a traitor, because I didn't want him to be. That would have thrown me though. If he was a traitor, that would have thrown me. The Oren Crane storyline, I felt was a little unfinished. Maybe I just missed something, but to me, it felt a little unfinished. Okay, yes, there was this treachery going on in the end, and he, threw Korik in and was trying to get his daughter, and then, lit the palace on fire. And then I just felt like we just shifted, and we only talked about Kandala and Ostrieri, and well, I guess he was killed. So maybe I just think that it ended a little bit too quickly. I don't know, right? It just ended so fast that it felt unfinished to me. It felt like there should have been more. Like I needed more. It was just too quick of a death for someone who like tortured this world for so long and tortured all these people and killed all these people. Like just too fast. I did really like Mouse. I loved Mouse. Did anybody else love Mouse? I just wanted to give him a hug. And I loved that he came around for Korik and he was so involved in the end. I thought that was a side character. The side characters, I feel like, won this book. Olive, Rocco, Elmo, Mouse, like all of these I guess Quint is a side character, but kind of a main character. All the side characters won. The guards and their families, like there was just so much of the people of Kandala and Ostrieri that made this book feel whole, It was very good. It was very good. A big bone to pick was I did not feel that Korik and Tessa got the finale love story that I expected them to get from book 1. I wanted more after separating them for so freaking long. It was like the moment that they found out that he was alive and she, was waiting for him or whatever. It was like there and gone. And that was it. And I just wanted more of a moment for them or just anything. Like I was not enough. It was not enough of a love story for them. Harriston got way more of a love story in this book than Corrick and Tessa did. After all the fighting in the last book and after the like kind of making up, but then being separated and having the whole book where Tessa thought that he was dead, I just wanted more oomph at the end. And speaking of oomph, I will say, based on like my last video, I talked about this. I thought and predicted appropriately, obviously, that Harriston was going to die and that Corrick was going to take over as the king. That is what happened. Asterisk. We know that Harriston at the end didn't die. And that made my heart so happy. As soon as Tessa read the letter from Harriston that clued her in that they were still alive, my heart was so happy. But my fantasy brain was not. I wanted them to stay dead. I wanted there to be a true sacrifice, and I wanted to have like the happy hurt. I wanted there to be the letters that Corrick was reading that brought up these things. And I wanted there to be happiness for them moving forward and for the sacrifice that Harriston made for Kandala to have made a difference and him to be remembered as the kind king that he was. And he wasn't dead. I really wanted that sacrifice to be real. And so while I was happy in the end that obviously Corrick didn't lose his brother, that they were reunited, that more of his family wasn't taken from him, I wanted it to have that hurt. And it didn't. And I was sad. It's funny because with as much treachery and backstabbing and everything that Brigid wrote into this storyline, it wasn't really any of that I cared about as a reader. I mainly cared about the people. And usually I do. I care about the people a lot, but I'm very much a plot person. And so it's interesting to me that I just really didn't care about all of the dealings going on and the backstabbing and everything. I couldn't even really tell you what happened because I just cared more about the people and how they got out of everything and how everything was wrapped up with all of them. And yeah, I think that's what made the book really good for me. I also know, that I read somewhere in the past that this was supposed to be a 4-book series. And so I was expecting when this came out that it was only going to be book 3. And it is not. It is the end. It does clearly come to an end. Brigid has said so herself that it is the end. And that makes me very sad. But also I do feel like it is a good, full, complete fantasy romance that a lot of people really love and that a lot of people would love. As a whole, great, great series. And I'm so glad we got to read all of these books together on my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the book and the series as much as I did. Thank you so much for reading along with me for Fun Size Book Club. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video to find out what we are reading for the month of May. If you like reading fantasy and romance books, I post videos on my channel weekly, so make sure to click like and subscribe if you want to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and talking about Destroy the Day and the Defy the Night series. And I'll see you guys next time.